Sensation, Mysteryland, Tomorrowland and Tomorrowworld. Some of the world's biggest EDM festivals in the world, and they've all been created by Dutch festival organizers ID&T. But here's the good news for most Indian music enthusiasts. ID&T will soon be bringing some of their festivals to India as well. The dance festival Sensation, for instance, has already travelled to markets like Korea, Turkey, Thailand and Taiwan, and there is a possibility that India will be their next destination. Tara Kapoor caught up with Irfan Van Ewijk, co-founder of ID&T, and talked about what goes into creating an event of this scale, the challenges he's faced and everything in between. Take it away.
First of all, Irfan, pleasure to have you on Brand Equity.
Thank you, Tara.
Just wanted to first talk about your journey. You started out at 21 when you launched your first large-scale event. What made you come up with launching? It was a dance music festival, I understand, right?
Yeah.
So what made you come up with that, and how did you go about the process of launching it?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, when I was 16, 17 years old, I was, I'm pretty short for Dutch standards. I was pretty tall. Didn't have too much money to buy the proper clothes. I wasn't that fashionable. And I went into discotheques in normal clubs. And I didn't have a nice time there because it was all about socializing and I wasn't really good at it. And I sort of like had also an alternative taste of music. So I didn't really like it in the discotheque. So one of my classmates took me to the legendary Roxy in Amsterdam, where it was all about house music, which was just about to start there what was it, 89, 90. When I came in there, people there were gays, transvestites, really fashionable people from the city and outside, and they were all just having fun because they were indulged by the music and the atmosphere, and it was just about them instead of the looks and the socializing part of it. And that brought a real intense love to go or listen to that music in any way. Well, then many things happened, but a long story short, I ended up in one of the first illegal underground house raves in Amsterdam, in an industrial area, close to my father's company actually. And when I came back, 8:30 in the morning or something, and I crossed my dad, he was coming down the stairs, going for some coffee and the newspaper, and I was going upstairs to my bed. I said, Dad, I finally know what I want to be when I'm growing up. I want to produce these events. He said, well, you're a little offbeat now, go have a sleep and we'll talk about it tomorrow. But we did, and actually we started off with a New Year's Eve party, but I had so much fun in organizing that the next thing was an event for 14,000 people. So yeah, and the rest is history.
If you look at Burning Man, if you look at Tomorrowland, these are destination festivals and people go to it for the festival,
yeah,
regardless of who's playing, what the lineup is. You have tickets booked, you have people flying into those countries well in advance before any lineup is done. In India, only if you have a big name artist coming in, do you see that kind of attention being given to a festival. So how long will it take us to get to that whole concept of destination festivals?
That is always a few steps away. I know what you're saying, but of course you have to realize, and it's not to counter-argue your question, but at this moment the perception of the Indian public is that a dance event is related to top talent. Because there is not many other events or festivals who rely on emerging talent or just below the line talent and having an appeal to a great number of visitors. I personally think that the experience and the whole event around the talent is much more impactful and much more sustainable for the long term and the existence of that brand and also market than it is just to rely on the talent. So we are really going to invest upon the experience, upon the production, upon the show, the level of show, to broaden the whole market which is currently existing in India. If you look at Sensation, it's a pretty good example. I think 85% of all our tickets worldwide, maybe even 90%, are sold without announcing a lineup.
Right.
Because it's a matter of perception. And that means that we have to be on par on all the elements a festival or an event contains. It either being your cold drinks, your ice cubes in your refreshment or your mixed drink, up until a clean toilet, up until a proper entry procedure, parking your car, and of course a good show with good music and thus good DJs.
I get your point in terms of how you look at festivals and handling festivals in India. But if you look at what's happened in the past, you've had quite a few events where things haven't gone as expected, and a lot of times artists have left dissatisfied with the experience of organizing the event and not so much the fan base. So while they're very excited by the potential there is in India, that whole infrastructure element and, you know, all the other nitty-gritties that happen in the Indian market have scared a lot of people off. So in that sense, how do you break that perception? Because that perception also travels.
Yeah, well, I can share with you, Tara, that we have had in our existence many big and difficult challenges to overcome. A low amount of ticket sales, lower than expected, anticipated, sponsors dropping out, venues dropping out, we had to relocate, reschedule, whatever. I don't say that we will overcome everything and always what we are facing, but there's one thing, what we have a sort of like company philosophy, and that is that we always produce a compromiseless production, and we always under-promise and over-perform. We never step back from our promises, so whenever we needed to put in extra money and even go into the red figures, but to be sure that either talent or visitors or whatever supplier got their thing, what they're expecting to, we made it happen. So 9 out of 10 times these kind of elements you were touch basing with are financially driven. People taking or expecting a sort of profit or a sort of rentability out of a festival, and they're just not willing to put it back into the festival to solve some dissatisfiers.
Right, so you're saying the key is to under-promise and over-deliver, right? Great, thank you so much, Irfan. Pleasure to have you on Brand Equity.
Thank you too.
Great.